Now that's a cool emblem. Okay, today we're going to fix the rear license plate light. So I've already repaired the lights, if you notice right here. And this left one, this right one is located right there, is not working. The left one is working. And if you guys have, on the E36, the most likely cause of this is this wiring harness. In fact, if I look right here, there's a wiring harness that runs from the end of the trunk, comes all the wires all the lights that are coming from the rear trunk come into here, go down into this location, come down here, go into there, and go out to the rest of the car. And as I close this, you can actually see the bend point. Right here, this is where eventually the failure will occur. And in my license plate light, one of those two wires is busted. And the failure most likely will be here. Now I could break this open. In fact, you can see 2 years ago my nephews already did that. I can break this open and try to fix it and find it located here. But in this hack, I'm going to find a simple way to fix one of these rear license plate lights. You can see I took off this piece right here, and now I'm accessing the rear license plate lights. And this is the one that works, and this one the one that was not working. Now I've already repaired it, but I'm going to go show you what I did. On this location, the lights are on, and you can see there's about 11.85 volts. Okay, and I've taken out both lamps so you can't see them, but I can see when I turn the lamps on, this one's on, okay, and this one I'm providing power. Now, what happened in my case, you can see right here, there are two wires that are shown right here, and the power line was good and the ground wire had failed. And this hack can be done when the ground wire had failed. And the reason why, the way I could check to make sure that the power line was good, is I went ahead and looked at the voltage here at this location by putting the ground wire on the other solution. And you can actually see right now, so I have a ground wire on this license plate light, and I have the power line on this license plate light, and sure enough, you got 11.85. So in this case, I knew that the ground wire was not working. Then I looked at the impedance between that ground wire, when the power was off, I looked at the impedance between that ground wire and I looked at the impedance down to this point right here, which is a very good ground spot right at that location, and that was open. If I can zoom in a little bit and get a little bit better solution. So that was open. So I looked at the impedance between here and the impedance between right here. And I double checked it, and I was getting a short from that location, which is right there, and down at that location right here. So in this, I was able to decipher that of these two wires, the power was working and the ground wire was not. So simply the hack is this, is that what I can do is, all I'm going to do is I'm going to double up the ground wires. I have another ground wire over here, and I'm going to take that ground wire right like that location. I'm going to make a cut located down here and then splice it together into this ground wire. So as you can see, I have one ground wire that's going to here, okay, and if I look right here, you can see that there's a ground wire that goes over here, and there's another ground wire that will go over to that location here. We got to do a couple more checks to make sure this is safe for our car, this is the simple hack. Instead of having to go ahead and fix this spot, which is most likely where the problem is, I'm not 100% sure, and a lot more trouble, this was a quick fix that allowed me to do it in about 20 minutes. So yeah, what I did was I went ahead and brought my soldering iron over, and it's heating up right now. So if you notice right there, what I've done is I've taken that, and right in there, if you can't see it real well, but I've cut the wire, okay? So I've cut this wire, and then I cut this wire going into here, cut this wire here, and then I've attached the two ground wires at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder this wire to that, and then there's a heat shrink tubing that I'm going to use to put that around the solution. So at this stage, we should be right up and going, and let me go ahead and do that. I don't have two hands, so I'm going to go ahead and shut this off, and I'll show you. I pulled up the E36 wiring diagram for the license plate light area, and this is it right there. So if you notice right here, I can go through, there's a fuse, there's the F37 10 amp fuse goes through here, and we go through our light switch, comes down into our check control module, and this is where we detect that the license plate light is out. You can see there's one sense resistor and there's another sense resistor, and goes into power, and these are the two wires that would be connected to the right license plate light, and these are the two wires that connect to the left license plate light. And then we have our brown wires, BR, would go into a ground connection, and that goes out to the return wire for the power supply. Now if you notice right here, what we did was we're going to short and take this short. This is where it's broken open, most likely at that bend point in the trunk, and we're going to short, and we're going to take a wire and connect it here, and we bring it over to that location. So are we going to be in trouble with this sharing the current on this one wire? Now that is a 0.75, which is a 0.75 millimeters squared diameter. That corresponds to right around 19 gauge in American gauge wires. 19 gauge wires will have no trouble handling maybe up to 10 amps of current, and I was measuring 2 amps of current sustaining this for around, you know, less than 30 feet, maybe 10 feet for this ground wire, because it connects to a ground terminal right behind the left passenger seat. And so that's around 5 or 6 feet, I would say, of wire. So 5 or 6 feet of wire using a 19 gauge wire, where I'm sharing the current here. Instead of using 2 wires, we're going to use 1, and we'll bunch it up. And they'll be very easy. 19 gauge wire with 2 amps of current maximum. We're not going to see any issues. Actually, I was measuring, when I used the multimeter, I measured 0.3 amps here and 0.3 amps here. So, you know, 0.6 amps going through this wire will have no trouble at all. And so we're all set. This was a simple fix that allowed us to get this thing up and running without having to break into that bend point under the wiring harness area. The final check is to ensure that when I turn on my lights, I no longer have that license plate light error show up on the dash. And so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to turn this on. Okay, and we do our quick check, and we check okay, it looks good. Let me double check. The lights aren't on, so I have to do that. Okay, and we go ahead and do the check okay. We'll do it again, and sure enough, we're not seeing any errors anymore. So our license plate lights have been fixed with a simple hack here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks. Bye.